Hi Sagittarius, welcome to your May 2020 love reading. It's Raina here, and this is going to be for people who are single and looking, or for people who are in relationships and they are wondering what to do next. What to do next. And that kind of card sums it up in a lot of ways. I'm laughing because I'm thinking of this person who told me they were unsubscribing because of something to do with the Queen of Wands. She went off. I think it was a woman. It's got to be. But I didn't interpret it the way that she wanted me to. So I don't know if she'll be. I don't know if she was a Sag or not. But the Queen of Wands is associated with Sagittarius for sure. I mean, I personally connect it with Leo. And you know, we get to, there's no laws. I mean, we get to associate cards with whatever we feel like, even if there are classic interpretations. So that's just how it works. The heart of the matter is the Queen of Swords. So there may be something, if you are involved in a relationship, where you are feeling like it's getting to the point where you have to make some sort of decision. That doesn't mean that you will, but at least you feel like your emotions are heightened to the point where it's like, I won't say it's now or never, but it's like kind of almost at that tipping point. And basically what that can mean is that so much has happened that it makes you feel like something's got to give. And in June, we're going to see the first eclipse of the cycle of Gemini and Sag, and it's going to be in Sag on June 5th. And so that, it's a lunar eclipse, so it's going to oppose, the sun will be opposed from Gemini, that 7th house. So, I mean, it might be, a few months or a couple of months from now when this actually goes down, but it really doesn't matter. I don't get too caught up. I do label the readings with particular months, but the main thing is about what's going on and how it affects you. So if that resonates, where you feel like your emotions are interfering with your ability to make a decision, then perhaps that is what's going on for you, and that's just how it is. If you are single, you might be, I could even see somebody who's afraid of venturing into relationships because you tend to get too emotionally involved. Now, that doesn't sound like a Sag, because I'm a Sag myself. But again, your sun sign is just a part of it. You might have a moon in water. You might have a moon in Scorpio or Cancer or Pisces. Or perhaps you have inner planets in Scorpio being an adjacent sign, and that can make you a little bit more intense when it comes to these kinds of matters. In the past position, you have the 5 of Pentacles, which is about lack consciousness, meaning this idea of there's only so much to go around. I don't think I'll get another chance. So if you're in a relationship that you feel is not good for you, but you just can't shake off this idea that there might not be anything in your future, you might stick with what you know, even if it's not really doing it for you. If you're single, you might feel like it's hard out there to find somebody. And I haven't been single for many years, and so I'm not really plugged into that. But I do feel that it may be difficult when somebody is really like desperate for a relationship, but I feel like when a person has let go of resistance, it's like they can't stop people from hitting on them. Because how many men have said that when they have a wedding ring on, all of a sudden all these women are hitting on them? And I don't think it's because they're looking for a challenge. I think I'm talking about the women, obviously, but I think it's because perhaps the man, he's satisfied that he has somebody in his life and he's not looking, and then all of a sudden he can't beat him off with a stick. So those kinds of things. So that might be kind of going around with you that you have to deal with. The higher message is the Strength card, and this is about, obviously it's self-explanatory, but it's also a card of Leo. So there might be somebody, now this is a spiritual message, so rather than, if it is somebody that is meant for you, you might be overlooking them for some reason. Leo is another fire sign, so typically you're going to be compatible with Leo, but of course, sometimes we have people in our life that we don't think of romantically. Maybe it's a platonic friend, or I don't know, it could be anybody, a coworker, and they may have feelings for you and you're oblivious, or you just think that the two of you are great friends and you don't even consider them in that way. So it could be saying that you need to change your perspective. But in general, the Strength card is about confidence. So it's inner strength, which is confidence, which means that you believe, if you're single, that there's somebody out there who is for you. And the real thing that you have to do is you have to be able to have faith that this is true. Now, where the strength comes in is not needing a relationship, wanting one but not needing it. And this is where it gets tricky, because people have a tendency in these circumstances to feel like they need it. And that's where it gets messy, because you have to approach relationships from a very autonomous point of view and not like from a desperate one. Usually Sages are not like that. We tend to be very independent, but sometimes if it's been a while since you've had a relationship, you might be feeling a little bit like the Five of Pentacles. Is this going to be forever? And maybe you're looking in the wrong place for a relationship. And that's part of the problem. Looking for love in all the wrong places. What crosses you is the King of Swords. So that's an interesting one, because if you are currently involved with somebody, this person, and you realize that you need to make a decision about whether or not to stay with this person may be playing mind games with you, which make you question yourself. That's what gaslighting is. It's when somebody lies and kind of puts it off on you and says that you're the crazy one, it's all your fault, blaming you and everything. You might start to believe them. Another thing about this card is that a person, this is somebody who may be very emotionally, maybe withdrawing their emotional support, because even the King of Swords, if I read it in the upright position, can be like that. It's more in the mind than in the heart. But it's in the challenge position, they could be cruel. They could be using insults, verbal abuse on you, and that makes it hard for you to, It makes it hard for you to trust yourself and trust your instincts and your and what you want to do. You might be second guessing yourself. Oh, well, he tells me that I'm too sensitive, and maybe I am, If you're single, this could be a father, and this could be something that you dealt with growing up, and this makes it hard for you to trust in relationships. Or perhaps you attract this kind of person over and over again, and you feel like this is what relationships are. They're about pain. And that's not true at all. It doesn't mean that you never feel any kind of hurt in relationships, because people are human and they have bad days, and sometimes they are not, as kind as they should be to their partner. We're not talking about that, but we're talking about systematic abuse. Even if it's mental abuse and you're not physically threatened, it still can be something extremely destructive and yet very insidious, where you don't really notice that it's happening until it's almost too late, until you've really kind of bought into it. And so you have to be very careful if you're dealing with anyone like that, including a father, including, because I'm thinking the king can be that authority figure. And that type of person, even as an adult, dealing with that individual can chip away at your self-esteem, because your parent is somebody who had a lot of influence on you. And even as you grow older and you start to think more for yourself, it still doesn't mean that their opinion is just going to be, you're going to be completely indifferent to it. It can re-trigger you. And so you have to think about those kind of things, because they can play into your belief system and whether or not you can actually have a healthy partner, and this may also describe an ex who either you're kind of obsessed about, Sagittarius. Perhaps this is it could be either a Libra, Gemini, or Aquarius individual who had a lot of control over you. Sometimes this person will be either like a boss, a position of authority, or they will be a lot older than you. And in some cases you may have sought that out because that's the kind of, you're working through something that had to do with your parent, and you're kind of projecting it onto a person, and yet you chose a person who is like a parent who is kind of abusive, and we have to be careful about that, because then we're just perpetuating that abuse, What's coming in is represented by the Queen of Wands. Sometimes this is advice. And like the Strength card, I like to think of this as the Minor Arcana version of the Strength card, because this is, to me, about your self-esteem. It's very interesting them getting these queens. I don't know why that is, unless unless it's because you're in a relationship with somebody, or even like an ex, where you have a child together, they're narcissistic and they're not being uncooperative, and you have to kind of put your feelings aside. I feel like you're putting your feelings aside if you're in a relationship with somebody, or like in an ex type of situation, and trying to negotiate things. The Queen of Wands is about really stepping into your power and doing so in a way that is also being sensitive to what is going on, and not being somebody who is, very easily discouraged, because there may be like this situation that is very hard for you to extricate yourself from. If this King of Swords is an ex, for instance, even if you're single now, you may be trying to look for a relationship, a new relationship, but you've got this unfinished business, or your heart is kind of, especially if that person broke up with you, you may have internalized as like, oh, there's something wrong with me. And then if that person comes back, it's like, oh, thank God, I'm really okay. When it really, this is not about that whatsoever. This is about them playing games, more mind games. If you are single, you could even, like, if you're somebody who, says, I don't have really great self-esteem, like with the strength card. I don't really feel good. Fake it until you make it. Not being arrogant, but like treating yourself like you would treat somebody that you cherish, and treating yourself that way. And listening to people, how they talk to you. And this runs the gamut. Parents, friends, co-workers, and seeing if there's a theme. If people tend to kind of talk down to you, kind of like, oh, ha ha ha, say mean things to you or insulting things and then play it off as a joke because you've tolerated it in the past, or because you put yourself down in their presence. Look how you talk to yourself. Also, this is an important piece to this. The outcome, the Ten of Pentacles, is a really great card for, this is a card that is considered generational wealth. Now, in love readings, this is supposed to be a great card for a relationship that has a chance for success. I wish I had, God only knows where I read that, but because I had gotten this card in a past reading, in a love reading recently, and so I looked it up, and I know for sure that it has to do with a good omen as an outcome card, so that I can at least say that. I would say personally that if you're looking for a serious relationship, this is definitely a card that's connected to that. The number 10 connects with family, and the Pentacles are about the tangible things in life. So this is about something that, the different generations, so that means that if you're of the age where you are looking to start a family, that you can, and that this relationship might last so that you have children and then grandchildren. You're like, building a life with somebody, that it's not just a fling, Definitely with Pentacles, it's something that they're showing it to you. If it's love, they're showing it to you in a very visible form. If you get a card, we have like some swords here, and talk is cheap though, and that the swords relate to communication, but talk is cheap. And so in relationships, you want to have some kind of proof that a relationship is one that you can count on. And this, with the Ten of Pentacles, it could be that. And also the 10 is kind of the end of a cycle. So if you've been looking, you might be able to find somebody that is there for you. The 3 earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Virgo, I think you have the most in common with overall. And on an intellectual level. And I don't know this to be a fact, but I'm thinking that the Ten of Pentacles could specifically connect with Capricorn, because Capricorn rules the 10th house, but who knows? And maybe this is something where you have begun to believe in yourself, and then you see the manifestation of that. And hopefully that resonates with you, Sag, because Sages really are wonderful people, I must say, if I do say so myself, being a Sag, I think we're wonderful people. I think that we can attract love. I think sometimes it's on our end where we're ambivalent about it because we do love our freedom. And so some of us may choose people who are incapable of commitment precisely because we are ambivalent about commitment ourselves. And so it's safer that way, or choosing somebody who's married. So by being able to, yeah, I mean, if you're somebody who is involved with a married person, the Strength card is about having that inner fortitude to be able to get out of that situation, because this person, like I said, may be gaslighting you, and they may use their family to do so. I sometimes get people who say, I found out after I started to see somebody that they were married. Now, right off the bat, they have lied to you. It didn't take long at all for them to misrepresent themselves. And I always, I don't do this very often, if at all, but I wonder, how did they find out that this person was married? Did the person just fess up, or did they catch this person in a lie, or start snooping on Facebook and found out that way? But the point is that if you find out after the fact, when you've started to see that person, they've already started to be deceptive. And I'm not saying that everybody is perfect with the truth. Sometimes people bend the truth for whatever reason. But this is a major thing, and it's something right away that is happening where they're being dishonest. So right then and there, a red flag is like waving furiously in your face. And if you choose to ignore it, then you choose to ignore it at your own peril. And, we can see how this kind of like keeps going down a certain path. So, in any case, the point that I'm making is that it takes a lot of strength to say, I'm not going to participate in this anymore, because I think that you're not, you're saying that you're leaving this marriage, and there's no evidence of that. And I'm not going to waste another moment of my time. And maybe some of you, if you are in that situation, will do that. And you'll kind of like assume that position of royalty. When I see the queen or the king, I think of somebody who carries themselves in a manner of the ultimate self-respect, and that's indicative of that. If you refuse to allow that kind of deception and just being jerked around like that, it doesn't feel good, I'm sure. So in any case, Sag, if you'd like a personal reading, and especially, we're talking about relationships here. I mean, I have, astrology-based love readings, and that sort of thing. And what else did I want to say? I'll just check the link below for all of my offerings, and thank you for watching. Definitely. Take care. Bye.